Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. I really want to talk about how to accomplish and get to a point where you feel like you have enough stuff and where that feeling of constantly needing to buy new things, constantly wanting more things or new things kind of goes away. Now, I think that is a challenging topic when we talk about minimalism, and it's something that doesn't just go away by decluttering your things for the first time and experiencing that good feeling when decluttering things. It's also something that even I struggle sometimes with still after practicing minimalism for more than 5 years. I want to share a few tips and thoughts that are helpful for me, and I hope, of course, that they are helpful for you too. So let's start with the first thought, and that is think about the item versus the space and the money you have if you don't have it. I think we tend to think that either we have that item that we want to buy or we have nothing. But actually, it's not like that. It's we have that item or we have the money that we would have spent on it. We have that item or we have the space it would take up if we had it. Now we have that space to do other things. And so I think that can be something very powerful because, of course, that little bit of money for one item, that little bit of space that one item gives us maybe doesn't seem like a lot. But if you think about 100 things that you would have bought if you just buy it, then it's so much money. And if you have to put these 100 things somewhere, if you have to clean and maintain them, you maybe have to have a bigger apartment, or at least if you don't have them, you have a bit more space. You can move better. You can do yoga in your apartment maybe. It's easier to clean it. And so I think not just thinking that I have that item or I have nothing, but thinking of the things you can have instead if you don't buy that item can be really helpful already. And then let's move on to the second thing. Do you really want to buy that thing, or do you want to have the experience of having something new? Do you want to have that experience of buying something, of like having a change in your life? Because I think a lot of times we really love that that these good feelings that we get if we buy something new, because we can bring something into our lives. We have something exciting going on, we have a better version, and we forget that we don't actually need the thing that we are looking to buy. And so I think by really thinking about it, we can maybe just not buy a lot of things because we realize we don't actually need a new thing, we don't actually want an additional thing, but we just want to have that experience. And while of course that is a nice experience, we can also always think about the environment and think about our money and the goal we have with our lifestyle, that we don't want to accumulate a lot of things that we don't need. So I think it's worth trying to maybe find another solution to get these good feelings. Just find other things that make you happy. Find other things that make us feel excited, not just shopping and buying new things. And then the third thing I want to talk about is something very important, I think, and that is decluttering our fantasy self. Now, that is one thing that was so helpful for me when I first discovered this thought. And the situation that I would always come into again and again when I was a teenager and when I was mainly like shopping for clothes, I would go through these stores, see these beautiful pieces and think of like a specific situation. One thing I remember is that I bought some skirts and just some summer clothes that were not really versatile or anything, but I thought of that moment when I would be in Italy or Spain on vacation with my family, and then in the evening when the weather is still nice, I could go for a walk on the beach and wear that thing. So that was the situation I had in mind, and I think I bought like 5 or 10 pieces for that situation. Now, I was in Spain or Italy with my family on vacation, but I think I went on a walk once and I just wore the things that I had worn before, and I really didn't need these 10 pieces that were suitable for that occasion. And it doesn't only have to be that. It can be that you imagine yourself wearing these classy pieces. You imagine yourself going outdoors and needing all of that outdoor gear. You imagine yourself being really like into sports and needing all of that equipment to work out from home. You imagine yourself cooking in your kitchen for days and enjoying that process. But if you don't do that, actually, if it's just an imagination and if it's just your fantasy self that you want to feed there, then it really doesn't make sense to buy all of these things. So I think while it is sometimes maybe a bit hard to let go of your fantasy self and realize that some of the things you wish you were, you wish you did, you imagine yourself to be, are not actually true. And of course that can change. Of course, if you really want to be that person that goes on a hike every single weekend, if you really want to do that, you can change that, and then you actually need that equipment. But most of the time we have so many things for so many occasions we dream of doing that we don't actually want to do even, that really don't make sense. Like, we can just declutter them and not buy them if we are thinking about adding so many new hobby things and clothes for specific situations that don't realistically come up in our lives. And I don't think that is just a sad thing. I think it's just something about reality. And you can, again, of course, get all that money and all of that space and all of that time you need to maintain and clean it back if you declutter the things, or if you don't buy them, if you think about it and realize it's actually not something that I need for my current life. What I want to say is that, of course, even if you apply these things, it can still happen that you feel that urge to get new things, that you think your life would be so much better if you added that, if you were exchanging this, or if you just changed something about your belongings in general. And I think what's really important is that consuming things in general is not the problem. It's not the problem that you sometimes need to upgrade something that is really outdated and that really doesn't work good anymore, that you sometimes need to change your wardrobe because your lifestyle changes, that you sometimes want to have something new even, that you don't even really need, but you just really want to have it because you think it would bring you so much joy. That is totally okay. I don't think things are the enemy. I don't think feeling uncomfortable because we want to change something is the enemy. I don't think it's a problem to realize that we're not going to be super happy with our things or with our life every single day. It's okay to sometimes feel uncomfortable. It's okay to wanting to change things. It's okay to change things. It's okay to buy things. It's okay to exchange and upgrade things. But I think the really important thing is, if you're doing it in a way that you want to do it, then again, we have to, of course, think about our fantasy self, or like better about how we want to be. And for myself, I will share the example how I want to handle it. I want to be like a slow consumer. I don't want to add a ton of things to my belongings each year, so that I also don't need to declutter a ton of things each year. I want to be an intentional consumer. I want to really only add things that actually make my life easier, that actually bring value to my life. And I want to be a sustainable and ethical consumer. So I don't want to buy things for the sake of buying. I don't want to buy things that just pollute our world after I'm done using them. I only want to buy things that are made as sustainable and ethical as possible. So these are my values, and therefore it wouldn't align with my values if I say like, oh, buying is not the problem. I buy as much as I want and then I just declutter everything else. So of course, with these principles set, I want to actually be able to do it. And the thoughts I shared before can be helpful. But again, another thing that I do, because sometimes I still want to have something new, buy something, is, for example, just not impulse buy. Now, that's a difficult thing on its own sometimes, but something that I think it works very well is just not buying something, like getting in the habit of not just buying something the first time I think about it or see it somewhere. So I would either put it into my cart if I'm online shopping, I would write it down on a list if I'm just thinking about it, I would talk about it to other people, and I would for sure wait for a while. And if I really still want that thing after a week or a month or several months, then I will go ahead and buy it. I have talked about that before, and I also have to say that of course I'm not perfect. Just last month I bought something, like I thought of it in the morning, I looked it up in the evening, and I purchased it that same evening. I don't regret it, but it's not ideal, and I already realized that maybe I wouldn't have bought it if I waited for a bit longer. But I'll talk about that more in my next low buy update, and I'll link you the low buy videos up here to check out. And I think something like that can be very, very helpful to just be aligned with your values that you actually set for yourself for bringing new things into your life. So the thing that I think is actually problematic, or the thing that most of us want to avoid if we want to move into the direction of minimalism and feeling good with the things we own and just not accumulating a lot of stuff, is we want to get rid of that buying for the sake of buying. We want to get rid of just shopping because it's a hobby. We don't want to just purchase because of the good feelings, but not for the item we actually buy. And so I think that is a very important thing to keep in mind. Buying shouldn't be just a habit we do all the time. Buying should be something very intentional, and we should do that thing if we really think that the thing we're gonna spend money for, we're gonna give a place in our home, is actually gonna add value. And there again, I think the circle kind of closes itself, where we have to think again about, is it worth buying that thing, or would I rather have the money and the space? Is it something that I'm actually gonna use, or is it just something my fantasy self would use? Is it something that would actually bring me value? Is it something that I will want in another year? Is it something that I would still be excited about if I'm using it in a year, and not just if I use it for the first time? And in the end, I think maybe that urge to sometimes buy new things, that magical shine that new items have, that like something new, a new tech piece that comes out, a piece of fashion that you see somewhere that you really wish to have, maybe that fascinating feeling of, oh, I'd like to have that, will never completely go away. And I don't think it's a problem. And that is also just how our world works right now. But I think we should try to understand ourselves, forgive ourselves if we feel that way and if we don't like that feeling because we don't actually want to buy something, and just try to slowly find our way to an intentional consumption habit. And what I really can encourage you to do as well is just finding a lot of other things that bring you joy, apart from buying things, apart from spending time with your stuff, focusing on your stuff, thinking about your stuff. What I love to do is spending time in nature, cooking, spending time with family, reading books. Of course, reading books means also I have to buy them or get them from a library. I'm aware of that. But just finding things that bring you joy apart from your stuff. Because your stuff in the end is really not an important part. Like, it is important for us to meet our basic needs, to be very helpful tools in our everyday life, but it won't define you, and in the end it won't make you happy. And so I would really be interested now in knowing what you do to make sure that you only buy things that bring you joy in the long time, like not just for the first time you're using them. I would be really interested what you thought about this video, if there was something helpful in it, and other things you'd like to see on this channel. If you like this video, consider giving it a thumbs up, because that would really help my channel. And if you want to see more videos, I'll link a video and a playlist here that you can watch if you want, and if you have time now. And I also hope to see you next time. Bye!